I just found another pattern that feeds into a previous theory that I had about Crash Bandicoot and his new game. Let's talk about it.
Whoa!
What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and back with another Crash Bandicoot theory. As always, please remember, like I just said, this is just a theory. These are not facts. We look at information that is factual and public, follow marketing patterns, and connect dots to find hypothetical answers to a question. Remember that. So, we have been watching for multiple years what I like to call the Activision pattern. It's a series of patterns that happen for Activision's games when it comes to marketing and release. The theory actually has held pretty significantly over the past decade. I might make a video about every detail that needs to be observed, but in this video, we'll focus on a few. First up, Activision releases at least one kid-friendly game per year, as in a game that is rated E or E10 plus for everyone. This has been something that has been followed for over a decade. It was mostly fulfilled by Toys for Bob, Vicarious Visions, and Beanox, as they were the ones behind Skylanders. But even before Skylanders, Activision followed this pattern to a T, all the way back to 1994. Activision published at least one kid-friendly game every single year. Now, I can only say objectively 1994 because that is when the ESRB ratings board was established. However, I think it's safe to assume that 1993's PLOC wouldn't be scoring an M rating. So now we need to look at marketing. Over the past 5 years, Activision would announce a game officially about 5 to 7 months before the game would launch. Every game, including Call of Duty and Skylanders, has followed this pattern. The only exception was Spyro Reignited, as it was delayed 2 months, but even its initial slated release date did follow the pattern. And the next detail that we need to know is that so far, all Crash content starting from the Insane Trilogy has been released in June. The Insane Trilogy, the Insane DLC, the ports to the other consoles, and even Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, all released in June. Spyro follows a similar pattern. The Reignited Trilogy was supposed to launch in September. The PC and Switch port launched in September, and even other games like Crash Team Racing, Spyro's Grand Prix, Spyro and Friends, was launched in September. Kinda caught up? Good. Now, that's not all the details to the Activision pattern, but those are the important ones for this video. So, myself and many others have been theorizing as to when the next Crash game could be coming. The knee-jerk reaction was June 2020. This lined up with our theory perfectly. To double down on this, we looked at the 5 to 7 month window of when Activision would announce their games and saw that the Game Awards had fit perfectly. And there was no Crash. This confused a lot of people. It was the perfect setup, and it was dusted like a bypassing fart at McDonald's. Since then, smaller opportunities have arisen, but nothing has happened yet. I said in a previous video that if we heard nothing by the end of February, that the Activision pattern was basically broken and everything would light on fire and fall into instant chaos. That was until today. I thought that Activision was changing their pattern, but it turned out there was a missing detail, something that I missed, something I think a lot of us who have been watching Crash and Spyro like hawks never saw. Now that realization came to me with the concept of the idea of Crash Team Racing coming to PC. Now if you are unaware, people have been begging for CTR to come to the PC. Now the Insane Trilogy came to PC along with the Reignited Trilogy. They all came out exactly 1 year from their initial releases, so it's fair to assume that CTR would get the same treatment. So that would mean that Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled would likely come to PC in June of 2020. But wait, isn't that the same time when the new Crash game was supposed to release? Ding ding ding, you found the issue. This is a terrible plan for marketing. Imagine 2 Crash Bandicoot titles fighting for marketing and promotions. If both Crash games were to release at the same time, the promotional marketing would overlap each other and upon release would cannibalize each other's sales, even if they were only a week or two apart, making both titles underperform commercially. So what does that mean? No new Crash game in 2020? Well, no actually. There's another theory that I had mentioned before that I'm going to mention in a second. But before we get there, we need to figure out when Crash Team Racing would be announced to come to PC. I looked at the Insane Trilogy trailer revealing the new ports to the other consoles and the Spyro Nintendo Switch announcement trailer. Both of these trailers dropped just about exactly 3 months before the game launched. Yet again, another pattern. Their marketing is not as long as their initial run, obviously because they are ports. So 3 months instead of 5 to 7 does the trick. So if CTR is assumedly coming to PC in June, if we count 3 months back, it hits the month of about March. So that means between the end of February and any time in March, we should get the announcement that Crash Team Racing will make its way to PC. It's entirely possible that it will be announced at PAX East, as that is the exact same time slot that fits, but that's just a rambling theory from me. I do have some concerns in terms of CTR coming to PC, and I'm going to be talking about it in a future video, so make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for it. But this is where timing becomes literally everything. So if the theorized Crash Team Racing port to the PC is coming in June, then when the heck is the new Crash Bandicoot game coming out? Well, I made a video previously saying that it's entirely possible that the new Crash Bandicoot might be pushed to being a launch game for the PS5 and the Xbox Series, which is the next generation of consoles from Sony and Xbox. The amount of money that is earned on launch titles is known to be crazy. So, according to rumors and leaks, the consoles will be released holiday 2020, which, looking at previous console launches, that usually means about November. So let's test that theory. If 6 months is about the right amount of time for Activision to advertise a new Crash game, let's go back 6 months from the assumed month of release of the new consoles. If that's the case, then the new Crash game would be announced in June of 2020. Things started to click together. So here is my official theory. After CTR releases in June, literally right after it launches and during the hype of Crash, Activision will shock the world again with a trailer to reveal the brand new Crash Bandicoot title for the next generation of consoles. I'll even double down, and I think PlayStation might be trying to get that 1-year exclusivity deal like they had with the Insane Trilogy. Will it happen? Who knows? On top of that, June is also the month of E3, where games get announced like willy-nilly from all sides of the spectrum. It fits perfectly in terms of announcement time. Now, some of you might think that Crash actually wouldn't show up around E3 because he is commonly seen as a PlayStation mascot. And if you haven't heard, PlayStation is not going to be showing up to this year's E3. But here's the thing. This does not apply to Crash because he is not owned by Sony by any means at all. Though Sony still uses Crash Bandicoot to advertise their games and their overall company, he is considered a third-party character. On top of that, it's been said that Activision may not be attending E3 this year either. But the thing is that companies still announce their games during E3's events and not necessarily at the actual show. And even if PlayStation gets that exclusivity like I had mentioned, PlayStation could just host a state of play, just like Nintendo, and reveal the new Crash Bandicoot game there. See, even though all of Crash Bandicoot's content has normally been released in June, the new consoles might just be too good to pass up in terms of income. So for this title, I believe Activision is going to bend the rules a little for their new game. But hey, at least the trailer would drop in June. Now, again everyone, this is just a theory. Don't get your knickers in a twist if it turns out wrong, but it is something that I think is worth discussing. So, what do you guys think? Do you think that this theory is viable? Do you think the new Crash Bandicoot game will launch alongside the next generation of consoles? Comment below. and let me know. A huge thank you to all those who support the channel through Patreon and being a sponsor on the channel. If you'd like to help it out, check out the links in the description below, where you can buy some CGE merch or become a Patreon. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming and nostalgic content. Thank you so much everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video.